Hey folks, let's talk flashlights, specifically extreme value flashlights. Now, whether you are watching this channel as somebody who's interested in emergency preparedness, whether you're interested in camping, hiking, or hunting and shooting, whatever your kind of reason and drive for learning about gear and learning about different uses for equipment, I wanted to present to you a light that I found to be just about the best value light on the market. A lot of people do these lights and do reviews on these lights, and talk about quality, but again, without any context for that quality. So they just talk about, well, there's good, how do we get better? And you end up with a extremely high-priced luxury item that you are essentially promoting. And what I like to promote is gear that is, number one, practical, number two, reliable, and number three, high value. And I think this light is one that does that extremely well. Now this is the, so here, zoom in on the name here. This is the Bushnell Tracker, or TRKR T225L. And they make several lights that are this Bushnell Tracker series, and this is the 225 lumen variety. They make another one that's, I think this is the mid-size, maybe it's the large size. I know they make one smaller than this that looks like the same light but it's just shorter, and I think that one's 190 lumens. Somebody comment and correct me if I'm wrong, but I know it's under 200. But this one is 225, which tends to be more than enough, or just enough for pretty much all my uses. This goes on the outside of either my belt or the outside of my web gear, and this becomes my generic hunting and camping flashlight. Now, this thing is made out of, I believe it's T6 aircraft aluminum, but it's made out of a very high quality aluminum. I think this cap, yeah, the cap's aluminum as well. This part's anodized, the cap is painted. As you can see, the paint is scratching off a little bit here, but you know what? If you're using your gear, that's gonna happen. And I'm not ever gonna, that's not ever gonna be a problem in any of my reviews unless we're talking about steel and something that's gonna rust. But if we're talking about aluminum and, oh, my paint scratched, no big deal, it's gonna happen. The clip though is steel. I wish this clip was a little bit more durable, or I wish it was a little bit bigger, because it has come unclipped on me before, and that's kind of scary when you think that your light could just fly off. I try to keep it in a pouch or a pocket because of that, but I still leave the clip on there just in case I need to temporarily clip it on something, just to rig it up to point it at something. Now, what I love about this light is it's 225 lumens, it's LED, it's solid construction for $22. That's pretty amazing. There are a lot of people who will talk about Surefire or Streamlight or these fancy lights that cost upwards of $100 a lot of times. This gives me pretty much everything I need in a $25 package. Now, do I trust it as much as I would trust a Streamlight? Probably not. I mean, a Streamlight, yes, you do get a little bit better quality, but we have to go back to a functional comparison. Would I rather have 4 or 5 of these or one Streamlight? Again, no contest. I would much rather have 4 of these 225 lumen Bushnells to one Streamlight. Now, so this light has a little bit of memory in it as well. When you push the button, one push to turn it on, and then you push it off, turn it off. The next push goes into a red color mode, and you're probably not going to be able to see it in camera, I'm sure, but it actually has separate red LEDs. It's not a filter. Let me zoom in here. So your bright white LED is that center one. These small LEDs are on the outside are red, and then these tiny little, almost filament looking LEDs are your, they call it their blood tracker. It's kind of a faux UV effect. And what I like is the white LED element is incredibly bright, but the red and the blood tracker are significantly dimmer because you don't need those to be really bright projection lights. Anytime you're going to use a pure red light, a lot of times you're just in your car, or you're just looking at the ground right in front of you as you're walking to the deer stand, or you're wanting to be somewhat covert and stealthy, or at least not blind others around you with your light. So I like that they thought of that in their power levels. So going back to the switch, the first switch turns it on to white. Then you turn it off. Second click goes to red. And then when you turn it off, and then it goes to that UV blood filter thing. So about these colors, the white is a little bit warmer than daylight. There's a lot of these lights that the white is a pure daylight color, and it's almost that very cold, harsh color light. This is slightly warmer and maybe slightly more green than that, but it's still incredibly bright and very functional. So the color is just a little bit off of what you would expect to be a pure daylight color, and you can kind of tell that just because, so I'm filming this camera, or I'm filming with a pure daylight colored light with my camera, and if you can kind of see it on my hand, that's a pure daylight color. The light color from this is maybe slightly warmer and slightly more green, but not much, it's pretty close. Now the red, it's a primary red. As I said, it's about probably a quarter of the brightness of the white, and I tend to use that a ton when I'm either in the car or walking to the deer stand or just wanting to be a little bit stealthy. That red's helpful. The next mode is this blood tracker. That is gimmicky. It is not helpful at all. I shot a hog and I was using this to try to find the hog's blood. I could find it better with the white than with this mode. I mean, yeah, you can still see it. Obviously with the red, if you're looking for blood with a red light, you're not going to see it at all, except for maybe a slight reflection of moisture. But this thing is pretty gimmicky and pretty pointless. It's for the people who watch CSI and say, oh, blood tracker, get all excited about that. Or the hunter who's like just looking to get all his gear in a one-stop shop and sees, oh, blood tracker, I need that. So that's not very useful for a blood tracking purpose. But what is cool about this is it's a little bit more powerful than the red, so you can see the red right there. The light carries a little further and it's a little bit more powerful, but it uses half the battery power as the white. So if you're going to leave this light on, or you're just going to use it for lots of purposes and you're on a long trek where you really want to preserve your battery life, this is actually a good option just for preserving battery life. Now I'm going to warn you, if you try to read under this light, or you try to stare at it for a long time, it gets a little bit weird. It's a weird, very unnatural colored light that starts messing with your head for a little bit. But if you just want to be able to kind of see what you're working with and you're worried about battery life, that's a good option. Now I think the secret about this light, the fact that it's made in China, if you can see it right here, China right there, is not a secret. You see a name like Bushnell and you think, oh cool, great American company. No. Any company that can afford to produce a light like this for $25, $30, probably under $50 is gonna be made in China, dude. I think that's just the way it is. And if you're a has to be American made type of guy, then go ahead and pay more for your other light. I'm that way about some products, something like a flashlight, not so much. Now I think kind of the secret about finding good value flashlights is actually in the element itself. The element in this light is made by Cree. Now Cree is a good American company, and a lot of these lights, they look a lot different and they go by different names, but essentially this, a Streamlight, an O-Light, a Surefire, anything that's going to be good is going to have an aircraft aluminum housing, is going to have a well-designed switch. Now I like that this switch is, I don't think they call it submersible, they do call it waterproof, It's something that you can't jack up the switch real easily. I mean, it's one button, it's big, you're not gonna tear it up. So it has a well-designed, usually aircraft aluminum housing, a good switch, and a Cree element. Cree has been an up-and-coming company in this big switch over to LEDs that makes really high-powered LEDs. And so any flashlight, yeah, Bushnell has their name on this. Yeah, they put together the contractors who fabricated this. But the actual element is what really matters, and that's made by Cree, and you'll find that same element in a lot of different brands of lights. So this is something I would highly recommend. In fact, my sister is about to go on a really, really long trek, and she didn't know a ton about different flashlights, and this is the one I recommended for her. Just because it's incredibly versatile, it's not too heavy. I don't have an actual scale on this. Another fantastic feature about this light is that it runs on Doublea'S. Good old Duracells, dude. I have a whole bunch of lights that use those CR123 12-volt batteries, and generally I'm a fan of them. I keep a stock of those 12-volt batteries because when you're working with a higher voltage, a lot of times you can get more powerful equipment, and generally I like that. But if this is going in your bug out bag or your camping box or whatever, having something that just takes normal Doublea'S is definitely a plus. That's something that you're probably already going to have in your bag, so it's not something that this light creates a burden of having to carry another different type of battery. It actually plays nice with probably your Motorola walkie-talkie or other flashlights or equipment that you already have in your bag, so that's definitely a plus. So for just over $20, I would recommend this light to anybody. Even if you have another primary light, your stream light, your O-light, your Surefire, anything else, this is a fantastic light to just keep in your bug out bag, keep in your car, keep as your general purpose flashlight. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope you found this review helpful as you're building up gear and building up a system that works for you.